Okay.
Welcome to a GES podcast. Today I have a super special guest. His name is Todd, and we're going to start this podcast with a breathing exercise guided by Todd, who just started teaching yoga at River Flow. Congratulations.
Thank you, Paulina. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Let's begin so everybody can enjoy this breathing wherever they are, because I've been holding my breath all day, actually.
Okay. So anytime you start breath work, it's good to get seated in a nice, comfortable posture, but also check in with your hips. Make sure that they're like, imagine your pelvis is like a bowl of water, and you want to not spill the water out of the back and not spill the water out of the front. Just have it nice and balanced. And then that allows you to sit up straight, and you can nice tall spine, shoulders back, heart space proud, and your exhales bring your belly button back into your spine. That helps keep the spine nice and straight, and it just allows for the breathing to be healthy, right? To extend that spine on the inhales, and then reinforce like some abdominal core work on the exhales. So what we're going to do is box breathing, and we'll inhale for a count of 4. We'll hold at the top or hold our breath for 4. Exhale for a count of 4, and then hold at the bottom with empty lungs for 4. And then just allow that air to rush into your nose as you inhale again for a count of 4. While you're doing this, we're breathing in and out through the nose. If that's a challenge for you for any reason, if you have like sinus issues or something like that, a lot of times if you just kind of persist, your sinuses will actually open up because of the breathing exercise. And it is pretty important to breathe through your nose. It's much healthier than through your mouth, according to
Studies.
many things. There's just tons and tons of information out there right now how important it is, how healthy it is to breathe through your nose as opposed to in through your mouth. So, good thing to practice no matter what. All right, you ready? All right, so go ahead and just gently empty the air from your lungs, and we'll inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, and inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, inhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale. 4, 3, 2, 1, hold. 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Return back to your normal breath.
How incredible is breathing? Like that just took so much pressure off of me. Just breathing. What do we do? I didn't even count it 3 times because I was so present following your voice that I just released it. We don't breathe throughout the day.
It's a good way to be present, for sure.
Breathing. You were telling me that you've had one of your best times and experiences when doing breathing work with our friend Charlotte. How
Yeah, that was incredible.
which is to me is perfect for us to start the podcast because we started breathing.
Yeah.
You're into the starting as a yoga instructor, which is all about being present and being connected. And it's so simple as breathing, right?
Mm.
What was that like? Tell us a little.
I mean, so I went in with, I'd started doing yoga at Riverflow, and I was like, okay, I'll go to this breathwork thing. I had very little expectation. I did not know what I was getting myself into, right? And so we start doing the breath work, and that was not even a minute what we just did, right? And we did different types of breath work like that for 30 minutes before we got into the real stuff where we actually laid on our back and did like the rebirthing type of breath work. Yeah. And so, unknowing the method really being used here, and I know now, I got to look behind the curtain now because I'm friends with Charlotte, and she told me, "Here, buy this book." And now I'm reading this book, and I'm like, oh, "This is what we were doing." So, unbeknownst to me, that this thing is called rebirthing, right? I wrote immediately, like when I got back, I was shook. Like I was shook. Like I had taken powerful, powerful drugs, right? I mean, and I like got really inspired. And I wrote, and I said it felt like I had just given, or we had just like had given birth to my soul. Like I had like given birth to my soul. I had no other words for it. It was incredible.
I need Charlotte to hook me up. Girl, I was trying to make her work on my event, which I also want to point out. Todd here is the hands and Bob the builder behind the portal. So if you were there present and were able to present said it was a beautiful put in portal and you put all that work, you build it like it was no tomorrow, and you took us through another dimension. But you yourself have been in several different situations like this breathing exercise that gets you, I don't want to say, we were just talking about this, some people call it spiritual awakening, some people call it something else, that I just think it's just connected to yourself, to self and universe that lives inside of you. That's how I see it. I don't want to call it anything other than taking care of you, right?
I mean, there's with some of the stuff I'd prefer just to say I don't know. Like I don't know what it is. You know.
But you experienced that.
Well, yeah, I experienced something for sure. Yeah,
Right.
but like
This
there's just
breathing work, you felt like you were reborn. Isn't that incredible? And how old are
yeah,
you, Todd,
yeah,
if
it
you don't
was
mind telling us?
incredible. I'm 45 years old now, so that well, I was like 43 when
Okay. And when did you had your first little wet fit on the something else is out there that we can't name?
I figured that out way too early.
How old are you?
I was probably like 14 or 15,
Wow.
and taking psychedelics at like hippie shows, and I had this experience that was there's no other way to describe it. It was like talking to God, and I was deeply touched by that, and I did not know what to do with that information. I had no teachers around me. I had no community.
It came through you.
I was walking on clouds for like 7 or 8 months, and I like I was a changed person for a little while, and I didn't know what to do with it. And it really was like this beautifully powerful experience. And yeah, it came through psychedelics. It came through illicit drugs when I was partying. I was at a hippie show, so that vibe was in the air. There was a lot of old heads there that kinds of stuff that I'm just learning now. And they knew that stuff for years and years, figured it out in the 60s and the 70s.
Hmm.
A lot of this culture and the reason I was able to accept yoga is because of my listening to the Grateful Dead and being like a hippie kid before I joined the army. I was not on the path to the military until September 11th happened. And it had like a girl break my heart. And then, September 11th happened with, I think, the same week.
Okay.
And that just altered my trajectory. And I did feel patriotic. And I grew up on the East Coast. My uncle was in New York. He literally saw, the plane go over his head. And so that was a big thing. So I ended up joining the army. And I just kind of set this side of me down, this part of me that I'm reconnecting with. I put that away. I knew I would have to, and yeah, I became a sergeant eventually, Sergeant Barclay. And I had
And you embody that, right? You embody that timeline,
yeah,
which is
oh
what I
man,
call it on the neuroscience world, because I had to mix both and both. I didn't believe either. I felt it,
yeah,
but
yeah,
then I'm
dude,
like, no, no, no.
I
Where's the
drank the
science
army.
behind this craziness?
I'm sorry, I was in my own world. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, I drank the army Kool-Aid hard, big time. I
How
became
many years were you on the army?
20.
Wow. Thank you for
Mm,
your service. I have a veteran myself in here, myself and my husband.
yeah,
But I
thank you for your
cannot
service.
imagine what you guys been through. It's incredible. I mean, in a good and a bad way, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was a serious journey.
That's what it
It's
sure
not
was.
not for the faint of heart, I'll tell you.
No, it definitely is not. But I think that now that you explained it, I'm just finding out that you had that spirituality before the army and your young self being a hippie, which a lot of my friends that are spiritual also grew up with hippies. They're all 42, 43, because obviously we weren't raised by hippies. Not me, as a Mexico, you're not allowed, but there were just drugs everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, and I
But
don't mean
here
like
the culture
really
was
big.
hard, right? Hippie
There
was
were
hard in America.
what what's that?
The hippie culture was big here on the 70s, 60s.
Yeah, and I it wasn't like true hippie culture where I was, it wasn't like that's why I didn't have like the good teachers, but I was like just getting into it, just kind of leaning in fully, like being old enough to like go to those places and actually meet those types of people and learn from them. And I actually moved to Vermont, and I was living with a bunch of hippies, and that's when that's when the planes hit, and I was like learning a trade up there because I was going to be a tradesman. I was like leaning into that whole like getting back to working with your hands and like probably wanting to live in the woods, like Walden Ponds type stuff,
Well, that's like
Henry
you,
David
Bob
Thoreau.
the Builder. Sorry. Now we know why you build the wall, the portal with your hands.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where all that came from for sure. That became a big part of it. But yeah, then the army came and it
You
became
shut it down? Did you shut down that conversation with God? Did you talk? Did you close the relationship with Him through your military career?
pretty much.
I was about to say, yeah,
Yeah.
you had to.
Yeah. I mean, definitely at times I had dog tags that said no religious preference on them. Yeah.
Wow.
Or Jedi or recon, just
Yeah,
smart.
completely don't believe in nothing, right? Yeah. Well, what you see in the military makes you not believe in God, and things that you see around the world and those tours. I don't want to imagine the things that you see in other countries. That's one of the reasons why I like to travel the world, because people are so close minded and they complain about the silliest things. And I was like, oh, sweetheart, you should go see how other people live in other places.
Yeah. Yeah, we call that first world problems.
Yes, first world.
Yeah, like when you gotta acknowledge that some of the stuff we get really upset about, that's first world problems. It's really not a problem.
It's not worth your peace either. I don't think there's a problem. There is no problem bigger than that cannot be solved by death. That's what I teach on my life coaching. Everything has a solution but death. Because even if and I don't want to call this upon anything, but even in sickness, if you have the possibility to go get taken care of at a hospital or something, you're still getting hope, right? There's still a chance for you to fix those things one way or another.
Mm,
Do
yeah,
you think every day is a chance to me, every day is a new chance?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, every day is like a new rebirth. So it's a good way to look at things.
You can't live, I mean, and I'm not saying your past is not there, but if we continue to every day beat ourselves with something we did or worry about the future, you're never truly going to be here. We go back to presence, the breathing. We're constantly in a state of flight or fight mode.
Yeah, yeah, I ended up there for sure. Yeah, and through yoga, I've learned how to manage my nervous system. It's better than medication because it's like personal accountability. Yeah, and then you reconnect and you understand like your like the mood swings and the outbursts. You can understand them through the lens or the analogy of like energetic flows, and it becomes a little bit easier. Especially when you incorporate breathing and exercise and nutrition and sleep and all the other things, meditation, all the
How
different.
about the inner work? What other inner work do you do for yourself? If you want to give a tip to something, again, you're obviously here because I can only speak on behalf of females. I will never be the one to be like, by the way, if you're a guy, do this. I only speak what I know. I'm not an expert on men things, even though I have one there. I can give relationship advice, but I can't speak as a man or for a man. And that's why I love having this point of views and guests that they can share in their personal experience with your experience. What would be a good for any man listening that wanna learn how to calm themselves and not react, or maybe just be present or be a better human at this? If you're better to yourself, you're gonna be a better husband, better friend, better everything, right? But it starts with you.
Man, I'm, terrible example a lot of times.
No, 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 no. Don't
But,
say that,
but
because
yeah,
again, we
yeah.
don't gotta be perfect. You just gotta, we're all obviously
So, I mean, gosh, to get to where I am now, it was a very, very long journey. It started with stopping drinking, right? I was an alcoholic.
first one. Me too. Yeah,
Oh,
that was the
had
first.
to take care of that first, right? Before any healing could actually occur. And so that occurred, what 8 years ago?
Super proud of you. Congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment, alcohol quitting.
Yeah, thank you. And I feel blessed to have, I needed. And, I'm so happy that I don't drink anymore. Like, I love my life. And so that was a step one. Step two was kind of leaning back into living, and did that with ultra marathon running, which was cool because my wife and I, Alejandra, got to hang out and do that and accomplish some great things together. And then we kind of had a lot of pressure put on us and things got crazy. But at some point during the running, I remember tapping into this spiritual thing. Like, I was feeling it again. And I was having these like peak experiences on runs. And then I wrote a paper about these running monks in Japan. I remember the name, but I don't want to mispronounce it, so I'm not going to even. But they're these monks that run around this mountain in Japan, and it's this ritual. If they don't make it, they actually have to commit suicide. And there's all these little memorials along the trail. It's a little extreme, right? It's very, very extreme, not a little extreme.
Chinese people are extreme.
It was, yeah, it's definitely from Japan, and I believe it's because it's a Zen, like it's a really strict form of Zen Buddhism. I think the mountain is called He or something like that, but like again, I don't want to mispronounce it, and I'm no authority on this. I just wrote a paper on it. But yeah, so the concept of like getting into spiritual practice. Oh, and the other thing, this is really important too, is that when I quit drinking, I went out to these cow fields and found a bunch of psilocybin mushrooms, and then I basically self-administered like some form of psilocybin therapy at the same time I was getting help with like an army doctor. Oh man, it was so beneficial. I had to learn the hard way how to do it correctly, but I eventually did. And I developed this. And and honestly, what the technique was being humble and being pious and praying before and realizing that I was going to have, an encounter with, a higher consciousness inside myself, or however you want to look at it. It doesn't matter. It's just what happens, right? So once I started doing that and showing some reverence, then these ceremonies were very beneficial and they did help me grow. But again, I had to learn that myself because I didn't have teachers yet. But during one that I
It's
was
all
experiencing,
self-learning. You can have guidance, and I think it's self-learning.
yeah. So that was very beneficial for a while, but the good thing about that is that it's not like an addictive thing. It's not habit forming. I can't remember the last time I did it. I can't remember. It's been years, or at least a year. Yeah, it's been a year. So yeah, that's really not like a big part of it. The yoga has filled the spiritual void that was in my life. You know?
That's amazing. Do you
Yeah.
recommend yoga for men? Because it's rare to see men. I was very excited to see all the guys at my G.E.S event. We want a more. Obviously, I hate I'm not a feminist. I see everybody, as one community, unity. We want everybody to feel what we feel in those little snippets of peace, right? To me, I call it being home with me.
Yeah. So I mean, how did all this really occur? My psychologist, this one psychologist I was seeing, really brilliant lady. She said that what was going on with me is that I was transitioning from the ego to the spirit. That's what was happening. There was a shift in me, and I didn't know what was going on. And she informed me that that's what she thought was happening. And then I started thinking about it. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. That sounds right. So yeah, I think becoming less egoic, right? And, oh, and by the way, the military is one of the most it's just so ego sick, ego toxic.
I was about to say, when did you kill your ego? Because that was like would have been step 2 or 3 from your step. Ego death has to
I don't think
happen
I
for us.
ever, yeah, I didn't kill it. I mean, I just made friends with it. I guess I'm making
Okay.
friends with it constantly in the process every day of, but I definitely notice it's not in the driver's seat as much as it used to be for
Good.
sure. And then, every once in a while it tries to take control and usually does something
I mean,
stupid.
it's good for you not to do stupid things. I mean, ego's good. Be like, no, 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 no. You're better than that. I was like, okay, you're right. I'm not gonna do that because I am better than that. So ego is good in certain things. It's not always bad. I don't think it's a bad thing if you know how to work with it. It's just when
Yeah.
it takes over, there's a problem.
There so many different ways to look at it, right? And
Right.
where ego ends and where something else begins.
But it has to be controlled in order for you to
Yeah.
have this
Aware.
awareness and
Yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah.
And for
Aware.
men, I'm saying you as a man in the military, it's all around you. It's like,
Yeah. I mean, I think I just kind of I filled a role in the military, right? Like it was almost like a performance, right? Because I had boundaries, how a sergeant can behave. And so you end up being yourself, but inside of these boundaries, inside of this hierarchy, inside of this mission, inside of this culture, and eventually you just become a sergeant, whether
right,
you like it or not, you're a
the goal is
sergeant.
to be, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm constantly reminded of that because I'll be on rafting trips and here I am with my long hair and thinking nobody can tell I used to be in the military. And halfway down the river, I tell them I was in the army, and they're like, "Yeah, we knew." I'm like, "All right, yeah," because I became Sarge. I became an army dude. A lot. Wow, I don't even want to go there. But anyway, so you went back to. I want to go back to something that's super important because this also tremendously affected me. I had 3 combat tours, right? Two to Iraq, one to Afghanistan. Afghanistan being by far the most kinetic, but the other first 2 in Iraq were still very stressful, no doubt. Life was always in danger, but in between my deployments, I lost friends too. And in between my first and second deployment, my best friend committed suicide right in front of me, shot himself right in front of me.
I'm
Wow.
sorry. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that may have been when God left my life.
That would do it. That would do it. You stop believing there's good in the world.
And what's really cool, and I really want to highlight this, is that I can feel that feeling right now. And what it feels like is having your soul vacuumed out of your body. But with these somatic practices, breathwork, yoga, massage, Reiki, all these things, right? They they put it back in. They create that boundary that reminds you where home is.
Is your home. And I love how beautiful you created that. I'm never going to forget return to base.
Hmm.
That's his Instagram. I will tag you for people to follow you and go to your classes and support you because I'm all G.E.S. It's all about supporting the community and connecting people that have the same that they want to get to know us, right? There's somebody out there that might want to meet Todd and go do a class and understand this from a soldier point of view, right? I don't know. I've never had a return to base, never went on a deployment. I got somebody that went 13 times and came back, thank God. But in reality, bases, you realize that it was always inside of you, right? That is home, your whole and complete home.
Yeah. But right? Like here's an example, right? I used to be able to drive to work, right? Driving to Fort Benning, 25-minute drive, right?
Yeah.
19 of those minutes, I was in Afghanistan.
Wow.
I don't know how I got there. I don't remember the drive. Like I wasn't thinking about driving. I was vividly imagining, reimagining, reliving moments, firefights from Afghanistan.
Crazy.
Right? Like I would do that all the time. So, was I in the present moment? No, hell no, I wasn't. Was I even barely in my body? No, right? My body
Your
drove me to
soul
work.
left your body. You said
Yeah,
it. You
that's
left your soul on that situation that happened to you. It stayed there. It came out of your body. It's like when you tap in your third chakra.
or yeah, or I could have the same experience, same drive to work, thinking about my friend's suicide, reliving that tragedy because it was so powerful. I can remember every detail.
Oh yeah, look, 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 look. I'm getting, I can feel it. You see my arm? It's like I am an energy person, so I absorb energy and I can feel it. I can feel what people feel. The more I'm aware, and I
Yeah,
feel
so
your pain.
when I started doing yoga and started getting back in touch with it was not an easy process. I went crazy, just straight up. I went
They
fucking.
call us crazy because we're still
But
crazy.
so, like, shortly after, maybe like 6 months into doing yoga, like, I started crying, like, all the time. And anytime I was alone in my truck, instead of daydreaming about things, I was crying, right? But a lot of times I didn't know why. Like, I had no idea why. And just went on and on and on. And slowly, like, I got worse and worse, right? And eventually, I had these major life upheavals and experiences. And, like, I don't know, like, again, there's these, like, somatic things, right? So when I was, like, truly, like, depressed before I found this modality, right? I remember looking at the world. It could look like I was looking through the bulletproof glass or like SeaWorld glass, like everything looked dull. Everything felt heavy. All I wanted to do was just like sleep and hide in the dark. And then I started feeling so good that I couldn't believe it. And then I started rafting. My whole life just exploded. And everything got so fucking good, so amazing, amazing. I didn't know what was going on. I honestly thought I might have died. I was like, maybe I died.
Because life is so good when you're good, and people don't believe me. Why do you think I got company's name Good Energy Squad? When you focus on the good and you feel good, you attract good, right? And it's like a ripple effect of good things happening, and you're like, is this a dream?
But what it ended up manifesting into fully was like a full on like manic episode. Full on, right?
Really?
Yeah. And basically, like, what if you look at how soldiers are trained? Like, how do you induce psychosis into a human being? You take away their sleep and their food,
I was in boot camp. Thank you.
right? Right. So, and the people that got rewarded and became leaders were the ones that handled their mania very well, right? And could stay awake for 2, 3 days. And then, yeah, exactly. I see the high energy. And so that mania just grew and grew in me. And it was harnessed, it was turned into aggression. And I just lived off this manic drive. And so when I was still an alcoholic, you do your manic time out in the field and you just be this monster and go, go, go. And then you crash and drink yourself down and sleep for 3 or 4 days. And then, all right, it's time to go do it again, and just manic, manic insanity, yelling at people. Just everything's an emotional event. That's how the army was. It was not normal, right? They like
There's
ran
nothing
off
normal.
our emotions. It was crazy. And so when you get out, and then you get home, right? And you go through combat, and then your emotions get killed. But then the only time you know how to do anything is to get worked up into this manic state. So it just becomes this like nervous system game where you just like charge your nervous system up and you just attack problems head on and you just cover it in stupid and break your way through everything. It just became insane. And then even, that mania, you try to bottle it up. You're at the grocery store and someone's walking too slow in front of you and you just want to slam their head through the glass window because,
Pull up that
it,
AMR
I
13.
mean, yeah, the aggression just explodes out of nowhere, and you're having these insane thoughts, but meanwhile, you're just like pushing your car, trying to keep your shit together. Man, it's tough, and yeah, it was a lot of like white knuckling, just dealing with all of these
Feelings and
highs and
emotions.
lows. Yeah, right. And it was nervous system roller coasters. And so, really, when I finally understood what was going on, I was in a classroom in Asheville taking a class on the nervous system and trauma informed yoga therapy, right? And it had hit me that, if there, I'd done a lot of dumb shit because I had this manic episode of fight and flight, and
Flight and fight mode,
I
baby.
was just stuck in it. I'd been stuck in fight or flight for years, like years and years and years.
Defense mode. Warning, because you were taught that in the army. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of everything. Be in panic mode.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I learned it before the army, but it got reinforced real good
No, it
here.
gets worse in the army. I wasn't more at peace with my cartel homies getting shot at than at basic training. How you explain that? I'd rather be in Juarez and have peace. To me, that
Yeah.
to me that's normal, getting shot at, being with a bunch of sicarios, doing like drugs till I have an OD. I That's comfort to me. But you got somebody yelling at me to do push-ups. I'm terrified for my life.
That's funny.
Who are you and why are you yelling at me? It really spikes up a side of you that you were not expecting. One way or another, it fucks you up mentally, obviously
Yeah.
physically. And again, it's just taking away your power. That's what I'm gonna call it. And
Yeah.
nothing against the military if you serve. We're big veterans here. Just do never let you down for for the better. I feel like they think that you sign your soul to your country, and that's not how it is. Sign your body, sign your brain, serve, be brave, but always take care of you. No matter what job you do, because we tend to lose ourselves in our relationships. Number one,
Hmm.
it's the same, it's a job. That's why I study. I got my degree right here. Relationship coaching like being in a relationship is a full-time job.
Hmm.
And we spend all our times thinking how to please this other person instead of how am I going to be okay so everything around me is okay.
Yeah, that's a core teaching of yoga
Thank you.
that is really important. Again, when I went through the kind of like mind explosion, spiritual, I guess it was a spiritual awakening of some
It
kind.
is.
It had to have been because it didn't make any sense, right?
No, it doesn't make sense. It has to be out of this world. We're out of this world. We're aliens. Welcome, everybody, to
Yeah.
another planet, G.E.S.
But yeah, it was again. There was a lot of I don't know. I lost my train.
Well, you were saying about how anything that you do in life, including being a husband, being at work, whatever job it is, if you're not army, if you're corporate, if you're just trying to fight for yourself and being a father, it's all core back to taking care of yourself. Like going back to not being in panic mode, doing things that align me, being present. And you said that yoga taught you that because when you're not pouring into you, everything around you crumbles. And I don't care how good you are as a sergeant, you clearly were completely destroying yourself on the weekends with alcohol. See what I'm saying? So how is that okay? You're like you're high performance sergeant that has low self esteem.
Yeah, sure did.
Fucking truth. You gotta tell me you have a fucking six pack and you're the strongest guy at the gym, but you don't like what you see in the mirror, then make it make sense.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing for dudes to understand. That's a tough one for us, the bros. Learning to love ourselves and mother ourselves and
Hire me.
take care of ourselves. That was a very foreign concept to me,
Crazy.
right? Like Alex says, there's two types of guys: the ones that got over mothered and the ones that got under mothered. And I'm definitely the latter. And so, yeah, like that was another thing that yoga, like this idea that you're setting aside time to take care of yourself. It's no longer asking this egoic question: what can my body do for me?
You
right?
guys,
How can I ask my body to do this trick so that I can feel better, so my ego can get larger? It's not like that. It's okay, I'm taking this time. What can I do for my body? How can I put my ego aside, listen to my body, and honor that, and take care of that? And that's, that is a step to put into.
self-love is everything. And men are strong. You guys are like told since birth you are going to be the best, the strongest, the providers, the caretakers, the everything. So there is no hugging you, loving you, being, nice to you ever because that's why you actually look for your partner to do those things. But it doesn't work that way because you can't depend on others, number one, to take care of you, even if it's your own mother. And that's why they say moms and sons are so close to each other. And then here comes a wife who replaces the mom in a way or another. But you want to be one of those men that it's okay on his own body and his own self. And I think acceptance is huge. Once you accept just yourself just the way you are, instead of trying to improve because you guys are bros and they're always competing and want to be the strongest and want to be the hottest and want to have the most hoes, which by the way, nobody has more hoes than me. Living here for the record. Let the record straight. You all stop competing with me. You can't, like, it's not a competition who has the most, but I guess that's a men's race, right? And like power, money, bitches. It
Yeah,
keeps adding on titles, ranks, sergeant major. And I'm not gonna lie, I was in the army. I was not gonna look at a private. That rank pull pussy. You're the first sergeant, baby. You're the shit. That's how people see you with respect. The more rank you get, right? You have to earn that respect. It's a title. And then you get out, you know yourself, you're learning spirituality, and you realize this is a fucking joke. I was worth the same as a private, as a sergeant. I'm a whole being full of love and light. And that's the real awakening to me. It's like, oh wow, I didn't need these things to feel this good.
yeah. I mean, it's identity, right? So if you identify fully with being a soldier, place all of your values into that, and you don't have like a support system, a spiritual or religious support system, which I didn't, right? Then that becomes like the whole thing that defines you.
Right.
Unless you have other things, and I really didn't, because I was like in Gatwa. Basically, you trained, you deployed, you drank yourself stupid, and you retrained, and you redeployed, you drank yourself stupid, trained,
You fuck,
redeployed.
you eat, the three F's that people think they come here to earth to do.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so that was just it just I think that hatred, I let the hate, that like I love that I'm wearing this shirt actually. Because that scene in Star Wars where the Emperor is trying to corrupt Luke, bring him over to the dark side. Well, dude, that happened to me. Like I got so hurt and jaded from my friend's suicide after my first 15-month deployment. And then, like, going back, I remember sitting for my second deployment in a Humvee in Baghdad, back in the gunner's hatch. Like, holy shit, dude. I feel like I was just here. Oh, yeah, I was. All right. And then after in between my second and third deployments, the homie that was there when Dwayne shot himself, who became like my brother, he died in a motorcycle accident. And so it was just like this never ending. It was like now that I have this beautiful, like I have the river now. And so I have all these wonderful analogies. And like I found the river at the same time I had this awakening, or whatever you want to call it, I guess, whatever I'm calling it, whatever we're starting to call it. I didn't really talk about it like this. This is the first time I've ever talked about this like this,
Well, thank you.
as openly as we are now. So I found whitewater at the same time. And prior to doing yoga, I didn't think that I could physically do that because my back hurt so bad and my body hurt. I hated my fucking body. I wanted to cut one of my feet off and replace it with a prosthetic so that I could keep running because Todd became Todd the runner, and his sense of
Wow.
self worth was tied directly to how many miles he could put
Things,
in.
things, things, and success.
Yeah, right. And so it's funny that I wrote that paper about spiritual running and then I broke my body trying to accomplish this egoic task.
That's what you
That
get. That's the
yeah,
lesson. Because
exactly,
you put
right.
so much power and the universe said you're focusing on the wrong thing. We're gonna
Yeah.
take it away from you.
And so, yeah, and then I just, kept being a stubborn asshole, doing stupid stuff.
Yeah, we all are. I'm guilty.
But it seems as if I have finally managed to learn how to read the water, right? Read the
Good.
current.
It's supposed to feel like that. I teach this on life coaching. Life, it's supposed to be like you're on a river. If it flows, it flows. If it doesn't, you're going against the current. Let it go. So
Hmm.
you either let it go or it's gonna hurt you. You're supposed to be floating. Life should not feel forced. Nothing should nobody unless you're kidnapped and with a gun on your head. You should not be doing things you don't want to do. You have the choice. You got
Yeah.
free will.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the river too, and the yoga. And so
River
paddling and
flow.
man, they really go together for me in a great way. And so I try to drop in when I'm in my kayak the same way that I drop in when I'm doing yoga.
I've seen you. I've seen you do it. That's how I met you the
I
first
try
time.
to paddle, kind of slow and kind of fluidly, and and really stay present, stay feeling connected to the water. And I'm breathing, I'm using a lot of the same breathing techniques doing yoga that I do out there. And I don't know if it makes me any better, but it makes me appreciate it more, and it becomes cathartic, right? It becomes therapeutic.
Well, that's what, and you found again, you're worthy. Your self-worth, doing things that you love is truly the biggest accomplishment to me. Is not what people put a label on me or I say it all the time. People think success is happiness, but no, true success is being happy. If you're
Yeah.
chasing success, you're never going to be happy until you get it. But if you're happy today with what you have and who you have in your life and appreciate just this moment and the little things, we really, everybody's saying it sounds cliche, but enjoy the little things. That is success. Being happy.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I got all twisted up on that, getting out of the army, had all my big plans for how this was all going to financially work and how we were going to move, step up. And man, none of that. It all blew up. I just, I think I'm happier now. Like
Right.
I'm like understanding, like you said, what real happiness is, and that it has to start here. You have to be happy with
It's in
yourself.
here. It's a
Yeah,
choice. It's
if you're
your
not
choice. You can
happy
be
with,
sad right now too if you want to. It's okay. You can take yourself back. I can take myself back to 11-year-old me and I'll be crying right now in 2 seconds. It because it's a choice, it's a feeling. But I can also close my eyes and see myself with Channing Tatum and be really happy immediately. You
so
can create your reality. I keep telling people
yeah,
it's a feeling. You don't have to actually have the thing. Like you were saying, you were expecting all of the things, and that's why you were not appreciating what you already have.
yeah, it's 100% a feeling, 100%, right? Like it's a vibration. Something.
Frequency.
It's like a little fire, little pilot light we keep lit inside, right? And so,
Do you
man,
believe in alignment? Alignment, like being aligned, chakras.
I mean, you know, uh, I don't know.
Do you ever done Reiki other than my events?
No, I don't think I have. I'm sure there's something to it. But as far as believing in it, I don't. I try not to say like I would never believe it until I experienced it. So people are like, "Have you experienced it?" And the answer is yes, to some extent. But I
But not
don't
fully.
know a lot about it. Like I wouldn't be able to like put names to it all.
Do you know Laura from River Flow? She's the energy worker.
I do.
I've had a session with her. I recommend it 1000% to everybody in this podcast and listening to us. I she took me to my 5D and back like that. And those things again, you can't make up because it happens. Like that thing that you said happened to you at 16. Once God shows you the way and the vision and the mission, nobody sees it but you. Nobody had that conversation but you, and you know what's going to happen in the core of your heart. You know what you're supposed to happen. You just have to stay clear on that purpose and vision. Nobody else is going to understand you, but it's cool to have the tools now. We're so opening. I kind of hate and love the social media world, but we would have not maybe ever met if we didn't had all these channels and people and connections. And now it's not as taboo as maybe would have been when we were younger.
Well, I think there's a huge realization that we've entered like full postmodernism,
Hmm.
and like people are clamoring for spiritual, like authentic spirituality, like experience spirituality, because no one can tell what's real anymore.
Thank
Like
you.
it actually
Thanks to
happened.
AI.
She was
Thanks to
right.
AI. Thanks to AI and technology and fake news and everything going on around the world, it makes you double guess, how do we even get here? And of course, religion, which we're not saying is wrong, whatever you believe on, believe. I just teach believe in yourself, because that's the only true self, that we're created by someone, something bigger than ourselves. That's why we're here living this. They trying to control that, and you just can control here. This is the most powerful thing you can control, here and here. Your mind, your heart, your soul. Unless you
Yeah,
come
and that's been the thing that the powerful people have been controlling for a long time, and I
your
feel like
mind.
the secret's out. The secret's out. So everyone's trying to get on board, and that's great. My reason for being here is because I feel like I have to. My nervous system and PTSD trauma from the suicide, the deployments, it left me. It changed me, right? So my baseline is not a happy camper, right? I have to work. I have to achieve. I have to strive and put effort and practice into being a happy person. Because if I just let it go,
No.
I will be this like stormy, dark, angry
The
recluse
mentor. A
that
dementor.
like you know snaps and loses temper and fluctuates. No, I can't do that to the people around me. That's not cool. I just read this cool thing. If you don't face your demons, then they're gonna raise your kids.
Well, that's exactly what I was. That's super good. I was about to say that. If you believe in good and good energy, you got to believe in bad. And there's
That's not a
not,
rule. That's not a rule. There's non-duality out there, so I'm not gonna let anyone put that
I've been
anywhere near
bad.
me.
I'm talking about myself. I've seen the bad
Yeah,
in
you
me.
have a shadow. Yeah,
Exactly. So because I know that bad version of myself, I gotta control it in a way and make me happy. So that demon inside of me don't come out. I can only speak for myself. Because like you said, I didn't grow up in a happy camping either. So you have
yeah.
to face the dark. You have to dance with the devil, is what I call it.
That's funny. I'm so glad you brought that up. All right, so let's go into one of my favorite things about yoga is learning about the deities and the divas, right?
Okay.
So, Ganesha, Hanuman, Ma Durga,
Mm-hmm.
Lakshmi,
Lakshmi, we were just talking about that.
Saraswati, and then Kali, right? So Kali is very mysterious and misunderstood, and she is kind of like Shiva's counterpart, the Shakti of Shiva, the female version of that. And in the West, she has a lot to do with sexuality, apparently. But for
Tantra.
me, she has to do with the nervous system, right? And I'm going to tell you a story that I just recently heard about Kali and her creation and how she was able to return back to Ma Durga, or, a more benevolent deity. Ma Durga, she's got like 10 arms. There's all these weapons and different tools for either actual weapons or like spiritual kind of devices. And she rides this big tiger into battle. And she goes to fight this demon army, the Asuras. They've waged war against the rest of the Divas, right? And so she goes in and she's fighting this one demon who he's kind of like a Hydra in Greek mythology. Every time you cut him, his blood spills on the ground, more demons come from that drop of blood. And so Ma Durga is getting overwhelmed. She's basically outnumbered, surrounded, about to get overrun. Now there's three or four. The thing about these stories is there's like 100 different versions of all of them. But in the one that I'm telling, the one that I heard recently is that out of Ma Durga's, Kali came with the help of Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahman. And so Kali is this ferocious force of nature and she's got the 10 arms, but she has this huge, long tongue. Her skin is black or dark blue. And she's got these wild eyes, right? All these weapons and wild hair, and she's naked with like heads around her and stuff, right? And every time she cuts off this demon's head, the tongue goes and it catches the drop of blood before it hits the ground. And she just goes on this killing rampage and slaughters the demon, the whole army, but she can't stop, right? She can't stop being this destructive force until Shiva lays down in front of her and she walks on him. And so she had enough like reverence to realize that she was standing on Lord Shiva, her husband, God, And she was able to return back to Ma Durga. I get it.
It's a battle.
So that that thing that we had to use in those dire situations, that was Kali, right? Kali comes out when you're about to eat it, right? When your life is about to get snuffed out, she's the one that comes out and fights to the death, right? And it's hard to put her away, right? And for me, it took God, right, to help me put Kali.
God is the one that told us. That's that. I actually, not gonna lie, I imagined the whole thing as you were saying it. I was so deep into it. I was imagining the arms, the blood dripping. I am very visualization person. I have, luckily, still have imagination. So I'm holding my moonstone. I love crystals.
Storytelling is great for that.
I love story hearing and how powerful all of this aligns with message. It's always good to relate and know that we are protected. One, that we're walking in power, that we're powerful creators of our reality and our future. And the most important part of this whole process and this whole podcast is how proud I am of us that have been to war and back with ourselves in 3D, in 5D, in every day, and still choose the light.
Yes, it's a choice.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
Lately, that's been the choice because many of times we didn't have that choice. It was taken from us.
Yeah, or we're just too blind to see it.
We were too stubborn.
But let me finish real quick with I want to go back to that story, the last part about that story, and talk about what Shiva represents to me too.
Yeah, what
So
does she represent to you?
one of the many things that Shiva represents to me is this part of me that is unaffected by everything. Right? Because one of the things he does is he sits up there at Mount Kailash in meditation, and he doesn't really engage with the world, right? He's just always there, like constantly. Right? And there's a part of me that's unengaged with the world, unaffected by the world. And when Kali stepped on Shiva, she grounded into his practice, right? His practice grounded her, and she was able to return to her true self, right, Ma Durga. And so by having a practice, by having that, knowing that you can always return to that place because part of you is always there in meditation. It's just good to have that visualization, have that imagination. You can close your eyes and picture yourself flowing back.
Yes.
So you can
Calm yourself down.
have that moment, right? That moment in between reactions and reactivities. And because for me, like Kali, if you think about sound waves, right? Sound waves travel, they propagate, and there's like compressed air, how sound travels, compresses air. Well, behind it, there's that void, that emptiness, that's Shiva. Kali's that noise. But without, you know, that balance, and I think you've been talking about this recently, of masculine and feminine energy, then there would just be this drone onslaught of noise, and it would just grow and grow and grow and be deafening and crush you.
Yeah.
And why you have to have that openness, that space to practice and grow.
And that gratitude, the cleanness, and the clean mind from Lashmi. It's all And
Endless.
that's something endless. Like it's endless ways for you to come back to center. By the way, I've been doing this all week. My little
Great.
lesson
Yeah.
since your class and put it by my heart. Because again, flowers are meaningful to me. Whatever it is that calls your spirit, you're gonna feel it. I think that
Yeah.
feel more. It's a good advice for our listeners
What's that?
to feel more and to listen to your body, to listen
Yeah, definitely.
to your intuition. It's huge,
Yeah, no,
you know.
I mean,
And
we've been talking, or I've been talking a lot about like yoga and Hinduism and stuff, and I don't want anyone to think, yeah, I'm sensitive to cultural appropriation. Okay, I hope I'm honoring the tradition, but I'm also being
well,
authentic.
honey, you're in the Good Energy podcast where we do and
Yeah.
say whatever the fuck we want.
All right,
I'm
but
not here to please anybody
is it?
but myself. And that's
Yes.
another level of awareness and consciousness because we go back to being yourself and being authentic. You can't be ever correct to everybody.
Yeah. So here's the thing: if anyone is really kind of like fascinated by what I've been talking about,
Hmm.
look into Carl Jung and
Carl
Jungian
Jung,
psychology. Right? He was one of the first. He was a contemporary of Freud, but he broke away with Freud because he thought we were more complex than our libidos, which I happen to agree. Right? I
I
think we're
agree.
way more sophisticated than
I
that.
agree with that too.
And he got into yoga and he got into studying the Hindu deities. And what he's famous for creating the concept of archetypes. So the shadow, that's Jung. Like Jung is the reason you're saying I'm working on my shadow. Like he wrote this book called the Red Book.
The shadow
And
breaker, huh?
basically he went insane. He went insane.
You have
And
to.
you can read this book and apparently, you know, I haven't read it, but I've read an autobiography of his, and I've listened to a lot of stuff on university YouTube about Jung. Um, and so again, it's like for me, these are archetypes
Blueprints.
that, and and I believe they're real, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter, right? So like they're useful. They're like useful psychological tools. There's
Tools, exactly.
spiritual tools. There's human ways, right? It's like Plato and the forms, a realm where higher ideas actually exist.
But that's why I study neuroscience because there's a quantum realm of possibilities and different realms and timelines around us that you can choose to align with whenever you want. It's just you being the frequency, the right frequency. I think that I say it all the time, and I always close my podcast with this. No matter what you believe in, no matter what you're doing, the core of everything to me is for you to believe in yourself and be yourself. That will open a whole world for you. You can't tell me you believe in anything if you don't believe in yourself.
That's a beautiful message. Thank you for sharing that with all the people that I know you share it with. I've seen it positively affect, all around you. You're doing a great thing, so keep it going.
No, I'm so grateful that you were so open and ready to spread the message in your story. This is what this whole thing started. I want people to be heard, I want people to be seen, and I want people to be loved and love themselves first.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. I hope I didn't ramble too much.
No, you're good. Hey, they can listen in 2, 3 rounds. Remember, they go on marathons like you do. We got our freak exercise friends that love to hear the podcast when they're exercising.
Okay, right on.
Got 2 hours. Hi, Paola. I'm talking about you. She does like a 3 hour high rocks every day. Hey, 16 miles for breakfast.
Yeah. No, I used to do it. I was doing it for the wrong reasons, though. Well, I mean, I was trying to balance my nervous system,
It worked. It gave
but
you
then
some
I
power.
just got a little obsessed with the miles.
Yeah, no, that would be me. Trust me. Trust me. If you ever see me going crazy and running, as an alien took over my body for real.
Okay, so yeah, you're not gonna go train for a marathon anytime soon. Okay,
Maybe a mile marathon.
maybe a 5K,
No, it's one
a 1K.
walking. Thank you for being here, Todd. Don't go anywhere. I have to get your video. My
Okay.
love and light is with you. Say goodbye to everyone. Todd.
All right. Goodbye. Thank you all.